Welcome to the Tao of Pizza, where we feature top logistics leaders, entrepreneurs, and supply chain innovators and share their inspiring stories with a holistic twist.
Mark Hiddleson here, host of the Tao of Pizza podcast, where I talk with top industry innovators in the warehousing, logistics, and supply chain business with a holistic twist. Before introducing today's guest, this episode is brought to you by Specialized Storage Solutions. Hey, look, I've been in the logistics and storage industry for several decades, and I'm always surprised to think it's been that long. I'm still excited to work with our outstanding clients, vendors, and strategic partners. We provide industry-leading warehouse storage solutions nationwide. So basically, if you have a warehouse that needs rack, shelving, carts, conveyors, or mezzanines, we help with the design, engineering, installation, inspection, and repairs to help our clients optimize their logistics operations. And it's funny, Michael, sometimes people don't even realize we can actually help with permit acquisition services. We take a holistic look at your entire business supply chain ecosystem to develop the resources for continually improving your operation. So to learn more, visit specialracks.com, give us a call at 707-732-3892, or also give out my personal email to podcast listeners. It's markhiddleson@aol.com. So get in touch if you're ready to take your warehouse storage and retrieval systems to the next level. I got one more. I got to give some shout outs before I introduce Michael. I got to give a big thank you to Sal Fatine, Nancy Fatine, Sarah Fatine, and Danny Medina. They are all part of the dynamic Seizmic leadership team. Seizmic specializes in engineering, structural steel fabrication, permit acquisition, and testing for all types of material handling projects. Now, Michael Burlace has joined us today. He's an 18-year-old entrepreneur currently developing Seizmic's new sister company, S-Mark, which specializes in the inspection portion of material handling projects such as pallet rack, mezzanines, conveyors, and a full range of automation projects. He's also involved in a number of other business endeavors such as real estate, crypto, social media automation, and a lot of other things. I can't wait to spend a few minutes with this entrepreneurial young man. Michael, welcome to the Tao Pizza.
Thank you, Mark.
It's good to have you. I might have to, this is being recorded on the cloud, which I'm in Modex, I told you that, and I might have to call you over the phone to get a tutorial on how to look up where this thing is stored on the cloud.
Yeah.
Well, great to have you on.
Thank you. So what's up?
So I wanted to ask you, because I introduced the other people. I've interviewed Nancy and Sal and Danny and Sarah. They're all other parts of the Seizmic team. And you are the third generation, right? The Seizmic,
Yeah.
Sal. Yeah. So congratulations, but share a little bit about, 18 is young. I mean, I think I was 20 years old when I started my first business. It was an Amway business. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I think I've heard about it.
You've heard about it. So how did you get started in, what made you decide to want to be an entrepreneur at such a young age?
Well, I mean, it all just started with me not really fitting in school. I kind of always wanted to do my own thing. I always wanted to be the authoritative voice rather than listen to the authoritative voice. And I kind of saw that in my mom and in Sal when they were running the company, watching them running the company since I was born. So it kind of felt like it was in my genetics to be the authoritative figure in a business and be running things. So that's kind of where I've been focusing on putting myself. It's being the sole driving the force of what keeps what you're doing going.
Nice. So there's and you notice I'm the same way. I'm excited to have you on there. Did you were you shocked at some of there's a lot of stress and other things that goes with that? I mean, there's some upsides actually, right?
Yeah.
You're calling all the shots and everything. So share a little bit about the stress of what that's like, and so what are some of the things you do to kind of prepare yourself for that kind of leadership role?
Well, It's obviously the factor of comparison comes into mind. I don't want to be comparing myself to those who came before me. I kind of want to use what I've learned throughout the years and try to create my own like form of leadership, my own form of running a business.
Awesome. Awesome. And your Nancy, your mom, is she's been one of my heroes in this business for a long
Right.
time. It's funny, I've been doing, I think it was '05 as she started the permit acquisition division. We
Right.
started using it.
That's
And
the year I was born.
it was the year you were born.
Yeah.
That is awesome, man. So she is always and this is kind of, they'll say men dominate business. In the material handling, it's kind of even more than regular business. It's just, forklift, conveyor, mezzanine dealers, because there's just a lot of men. And I think your mom's done a nice job of creating her own niche, because then she learned from Sal. And
Right.
so you're lucky to learn from that and create your own stuff. What are some of the things? Well, first of all, share some things. Your mom's an amazing woman. I've learned a lot from her over the years on everything, from not just business, but friendship, relationships, fitness. Her mom's really into. So, what are some of the things you've learned from your mom, and then transitioning into what are some of the things you're kind of doing your way?
So one of the biggest things that I've learned from her is the relationship that you maintain with the people you work with, whether it be customers or coworkers. Seismic has customers that they've been working with for almost 30 years, over 20 years. So it's really important to maintain those relationships and do whatever you can to do business together.
Yeah, relationships is it's one of the um, and there's, gosh, we said I'm overwhelmed with the amount of you've met me all the times we've met a few times. It's
Right.
usually in a social
Yeah.
setting, and it's really not business at all.
Right. It's just
But
getting your handshakes in.
yeah, yeah, we don't talk about business. One of the most awesome thing about that, it's a business. We're all in the same business. When we get together, we hardly ever talk about business.
Right.
Right. So what are some things you've learned about relationships, and what are the things you do to keep things going? Because the thing about good relationships are things don't always go as planned. You have
Right.
mess ups, especially in this business. So what are some things you've learned to develop relationships?
Well, of course, the number one thing is to treat everyone like an individual. I feel like I've seen, even though I haven't seen that much, I've seen enough to where I can know that people treat their customers too broad. They kind of bunch them together in one group and you have to target them individually. You want to be someone that your customer can be like, oh yeah, I got an inspection guy over at Seismic when you call them up. Oh yeah, I got a hermit guy over here. Like you kind of want to be that guy in people's minds when they're doing their own business stuff.
Yeah, so people are going to need you for different customers will need you for different reasons. That's a great point. And with your purview, you're developing the inspection division, which I think is awesome. Do you know when they required that? So I'm one of the clients that's been doing business for over 25 years with Seismic. Do you remember when they started requiring the special inspections? It's all right if you don't. It might
I
have even
don't.
been
It was
before.
probably before my time.
It was might have been before you were born. I think it was like '05 probably, maybe '02, '03, '04. It'd be fun, it'd be interesting to see. And then we needed deputy inspectors. So share a little bit about too, because this can be confusing, and a lot of people that listen to the podcast, they are getting permits with us, or they want to, they're getting permit. So what is, starting from, there's agreement, a special inspection, a special inspection, and
Right.
then special inspection report. And a lot of times those three things, and I tell somebody, it was like, well, we need to do the special inspection. Like, well, we already did that. I'm like, no, that's the special inspection agreement. Now we need to do the
All
special
right.
inspection, and then we need a special inspection report. So kind of share what those three things are and how they integrate into, a material handling project.
Right. So every city is going to require an inspection, whether it's installation. You're at the installation. We got to see depending on its anchors or if it's rack documentation. We got to see, we got to first of all get registered in that jurisdiction. Each jurisdiction has their own requirements, but all of them will say it needs to be third party. You can't you can't have the same company inspect the same thing that they installed, which is why we created SMark as a separate entity so we could kind of call ourselves a third party, right? So
Yeah. And so is that true? I want to, that's a great point because we always bill. So we'll include, the special inspections part of our service because we're acquiring the permit. But it was my understanding that the customer needs to pay you guys directly. Like they don't pay us and then we pay you. We set up with the agreement. The agreement is always between SMark and the client. And we're just introducing you to them because it's required because you're inspecting our work, right?
right,
So it's a third party. So that's a great point. And so the special inspection agreement is kind of where you do all that. And that's what you turn in when you submit
right,
with your permits. Um, and so the other thing is our jobs, I think all of them, it requires a periodic inspection. A lot of times we're dealing with companies that don't. So what does it mean by periodic special inspection?
so periodic. If an installation takes about 4 weeks, we would need to come out there periodically throughout the inspection. Typically, we see the beginning of the inspection a few times through in the middle, and then we see the exact end. We watch them finish it because we have to be there at the exact moment they finish. Otherwise, they could say they finished, but there's half these bolts aren't put in, like we don't know. So we got to be there periodically throughout the inspection. It really depends on how long it would take, but it's usually about 2 or 3 times throughout.
Okay. And so then that's the special inspection itself. And so it happens. So we've done it. What happens if a lot of the projects we do, even though it's a permitted project, it takes us 6 months to get the permit, only takes us 3 days to
Right.
do the job.
Yeah.
On a job like that, do you ever come in at the end and do like a torque test or is there anything else you can do if somebody missed out on that? You didn't see them start, finish, and end, if it was a short project like that?
So if we do end up missing the end of the installation, yes, we always come in and we do a torque test on all the anchors, or not all the anchors, but throughout the warehouse to get a good spread. Um, and yeah,
So if you had a warehouse that say was 1,000 acres, that's kind of like a medium sized project for us, like 250 uprights or 125, depending on whatever. If you had 1,000 acres in a project, how many would you actually go ahead and torque test?
so the code requires that we test 10%. And then based on that 10%, whether they fail or are compliant, if they fail, we test another 10% based on that. So it would be 100 to like maybe 150 that actually get tested.
Nice. Nice. So it's 10%, and then it's up to the inspector's discretion as far
Right.
as how many go ahead and do.
Right.
Cool. And so how long has it been since you started working on the division, the new division?
I think since about early May, I've been in here, I've been working.
And
It's been
did you
good.
start in early May? At what point is in early May did you decide you want to do the inspection, or were you kind of working as a
At that point, I had just come into the company. I didn't really have my place yet. I was picking out different sectors of it and just trying it out, picking out another section, trying it out, and then I eventually landed on inspections, which was perfect since this was an idea that they've been wanting to bring to fruition for a while.
yeah? And Nancy was a pioneer in '05 on starting the permit acquisition. It's interesting in this industry, things have changed. When I got in 1997, I joined right out of kindergarten, right? 1997, I got in this business. A lot of people didn't even get a permit, or they didn't know you had to get a permit in racking. And then slowly, I think what happened is cities started sending their inspectors and fire. What I find too is a lot of times it's the fire inspector who will come in because they do annual inspections. and they'll find out, they'll look and see the rack isn't anchored, and they've been trained at a seminar or something. It's like, if you see, and it is dangerous. I mean, if you have a rack in your warehouse that's not anchored, to turn them in. So most of the permits we did in like early 2000s up to like 2010 were people who got in trouble because they
Yeah.
didn't have their racks anchored. And it was always something, it was usually that they didn't have the racks anchored. But now almost every single job we do, almost every single one we do a permit. And so with that trend, having the permit management, in 05 doing that was the perfect timing. Nancy and Sarah, they were ahead of their time. And I
Yeah.
started to kind of do the same thing with my company. We basically have a separate division that all we do, and we use you guys, we do a lot of it by ourselves. It's a lot harder to get a permit than it is to install a rack job, right?
It is. I did permitting. I tried permitting for a few months, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah. Well, so it's not for me either. I can do it. And what I'm really good at, and I think what separates our company from a lot of companies is, number one, we anticipate the questions that are coming up. Like, we're never waiting to the end and they go, oh, you need a special inspection agreement. Actually, that happens a lot. You'll get something back
Right.
from Plan Check. It says you needed a special inspection. It was like, well, look at page 3,
Yeah.
genius, because we already turned it in. So, but that's kind of how, and I mean, I can deal with it, but we're fast, and we're, like I said, we know it's coming. Or they want a letter from the fire, they want a letter from a FPE for the sprinkler system, because like a lot of with racking, it doesn't have the seismic. You guys do the engineering, but a lot of times what the city cares about is the sprinklers and the exits and the fire.
Right.
So you're in the inspections. It's a great opportunity because it's kind of the same thing. It's a clunky part. A lot of that we deal with big engineering companies that special inspection is kind of a tiny bit of what they do. You got to explain to them every time. But with you, that's your core competency. You know
Right.
what has to be done. So that's going to be a huge advantage to you with your clients. That's why we're going to be a race to be the first clients, because I think eventually you're going to have too many clients. You're going to have to start turning people away.
Well, the more the merrier.
The more
Yeah.
the merrier.
Yeah.
And so what do you like about the, I know what you don't like, or you can share what you don't like about the permit processing, but say a little bit about that. But what do you like about the inspection part?
Well, what I don't like about permitting is just how extensive you have to be with the research. I'm more of a go and get it done. You really have to be very detail oriented if you're permitting, because it will bite you in the behind. But inspections, I really like it just because of the freedom with it, right? Like, I'm in control of the inspection. Uh, it, in a sense, to where like I can have the authoritative say of what they do. Um, and I really just like the freedom of the travel that comes with it. I get to spend my time out of the office, so that works for me.
And you see something new every day too. And that's one of the things I love is it's never the same thing over and over. Even if it's an
Exactly.
inspection, but
It's something
yeah.
new every time.
What are some of the businesses that you've run into that, like for me, a lot of things I ran into, I didn't even know that was a business. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
third-party warehousing was. So what are some of the things you've run into that, as because you're also an entrepreneur, I'm going to ask you a few questions about that. But what are uh, investing and entrepreneur? So what are some of the business where you're like, wow, I didn't even know that was a business.
Basically anything except for the base knowledge that I had coming into the React industry. There were a whole different whole like realm of sectors that I didn't even know existed, that have so much money in them and so much opportunity. Like even the loading and offloading of the warehouse product, like it's something we don't interact with, but it's something that's important and matters, and people pay for it. So it's different things like that.
Yeah. So for me, it was third-party warehousing or just, in the computer industry. It was like, you think of a computer, they make it like they just make computers in a factory, but they're pulling
Right.
in. We've dealt with probably 20 or 30 companies that all had to do with putting out one HP product or one,
Yeah.
if you think of Intel, um, what are some of the businesses that you're most excited about that you think there's the most opportunity in like new projects?
That's a good question. I I think anything involving technology, I think it's like the number one thing today. Anything like you said with computers, AI, robotics, all of that is like the top of the market today. So I think anyone dealing with that is one step ahead.
Yeah, having technology and AI is something I've been studying because I know it's the clients that are adopt. It's not so much that we need it for our company, although we do.
Right.
We're using Chat GPT. Do you use Chat GPT? You're not in school anymore,
I've
so
used
there's
it
no reason.
before. I've used it before.
What so I've used it to write it's just sped things up if you're gonna write a quick um yeah, I gotta turn myself in for using Chat GPT,
Yeah,
but like stuff you write to put on your website, it's good, to generate because it
it's good.
pulls the kind of a lot of information and it's a way you're saying it. People uh you can just generate things quicker and then you do have to go back and make sure it's accurate. I have caught mistakes. I've used it. One of my hobbies is doing research on like personal development and all the different theories of psychology, developmental psychology, psychoanalysis, Freudian, Jungian, whatever. And I have, there's stuff that I know, and I'll type it in Chat GPT, and it does give you some jacked up answers.
Yeah,
But what's funny, that happened. There was an author, and they had messed up the name of the author, so I typed in, "How do you report a mistake?" And then the next time I had it generated, they went through, figured out the
and they
mistake,
fixed
and
it.
it fixed it. Yeah, I
Right,
just typed in, "What do you do to report a mistake?" And it was fixed. So it's pretty amazing, but we want to know enough about it to our clients because the ones who
right,
are really good at that are going to be the ones who are doing more rack projects, more integration projects. And so they'll be using that technology to drive the projects we're involved in.
right.
So is
It's
there
very
anything else?
unrefined.
What's that?
It's very unrefined right now, but it's good. Once we get there, it'll go far.
Yeah, and a lot of companies they have to line up their data in the right way with the right departments linked up so that they
Yeah.
can use AI in a good way. So it's I'll stay in the rack business, improvement
Yeah.
acquisition and everything. So the other one I didn't give a shout out because I haven't interviewed either, but one of my favorite people in the world that you've been lucky to have as a mentor is Jeannie.
Yeah.
Jeannie Fatine is one of my best friends. And as I'm a little embarrassed. I've told the story a few times. It was really important when I was young. I was a little bit older than you. Uh, I really wanted to meet Sal because he was, what's funny in that time, Sal had been in the business about as long as I've been in the business now. I figured that
Wow.
out. I gotta meet this guy. I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah.
And Ron Mikis was good friends. Did you know Ron? I mean, you were young when Ron passed
I've
away, but
heard of
yeah,
his name. I don't remember him in my mind though.
yeah. So he was one of my mentors. He was like an old Chicago guy. He liked to use a lot of 4-letter words in his training. But I had to meet Sal, and it was kind of from a business perspective. And now I'm embarrassed because Sal's one of my best friends, and it wasn't about business at the time. I was kind of, opportunistic or whatever. It's like, well, I want to have this business network. That's awesome. And we met at the jazz festival in Catalina. Ron introduced me to Sal and Jeannie, and it was just immediately kind of, fall in love. And the players like, these are going to be my adopted parents, or at least aunt and uncle. Like, I want these people in my
They're,
life.
they're great.
So, yeah, so you've been lucky to have those kind of mentors and people in your life. Um, but let's go into a little bit more personal stuff. Like, do you have a morning ritual that you do, or anything like daily routine or training?
Oh yeah. I'm all into that.
So, what are you into?
I got a whole routine. I mean, I wake up pretty early, like 5 or 6 most days, like when I can. What I've been doing recently, I've been just as soon as I wake up, I'll run outside, like when it's most crisp and freezing. Um, and I just start jump roping for as long as I can. I jump rope in the morning. It's good for your cardiovascular health, all that. And I just
Yeah.
don't have the greatest stamina, so that's my main focus. And I'll just make my breakfast, clean up the house, do some. Of course, I check the news every around 6 a.m. because I'm into the stock market also, and I got to see what's going on. And then from there, I'll just pop into the office. I don't work full time. I work around 9:30 to 3:30, which works better for me, anyways. I don't like sitting in a office in front of a screen that long. It's just not my style of work, and I feel like I'm more efficient doing other things. So then, yeah, after work, I hit the gym every single day. I think that's very important also for physical and mental health. I think everybody should work out at least 2 hours a week at minimum. But
You
yeah,
get really big guns like this. It's funny. I didn't well, I guess when I was your age I wanted big muscles, but in my 30s it's like I don't want big muscles. I don't want to get hurt. And like you said,
yeah,
it's not just strength training for me. It started out as physical, obviously, because I'm a big knucklehead. But you're right. It's a mental, and I find now uh if I miss a couple days in the gym, I can really tell just because I'm
yeah,
a little bit more crapped out. Like I'm usually, like stuff happens and I'm usually still in a bad mood. And like even if I lose my stuff, it's for like a half a second. But I get into a few days where maybe I haven't worked out. And then when I don't work out, then I start eating crap, something that I wouldn't
yeah,
normally stuff in my face. I'm tired. It's like I'm desperate and everything. But when I'm training, it's kind of like you said, like being in control is something that gives you something to develop on yourself. You do notice like the way you feel, the way you talk to people,
right.
the way you react to situations.
Everything changes.
Yeah. So I'm glad you figured that out at a young age. And I think it's especially important if you're leading other people and like you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
That's great. Like you're putting, and it's not to get, it's not so you'll look great in a bikini.
yeah,
Although that's one of the pluses, but it's for the mental. So that's
yeah. Of
cool. We'll share. Do you do any meditation or visualization or
course,
anything
of
like?
course.
Yeah.
I'm a
So
I'm a
what are the
big time
things?
meditator. Um,
Awesome.
I spent a lot of basically my entire teenage years researching like any spiritual, religious type of sector of information, and I try to digest as much as I could and take my own practices out of it. Um, I I don't really I meditate every day for as long as I can, as long as necessary. I feel like my methods with meditation are different than others, but that's just because I have a different outlook on it. I see it as a not somewhere that you like. You don't meditate because you're trying to fix something. You just meditate to like be like where you are. You kind of it's kind of not trying to fix stuff. It's trying to like be okay with it, trying to realize for what it is. So that's I try to apply those meditations even when I'm not like physically meditating, and it's been going pretty good so far.
That's awesome, Michael. That is one of the best. Uh, so I've been studying this since 5 years before you were born, and even before that, really, because as an athlete, even 10 years before that, I used visualization and like getting mental game plan. And those were more purpose focused though, like you said, like trying to get to a more relaxed state or visualize myself. Uh, but you're right, as I've learned. So what are some of the like do you have like there's so many meditation means like what it meant 20 years ago? It's not what it means
Yeah.
today. You're right, it means something totally different. But being able to be with what is, which is that's kind of saying what is that another way of saying you instead of trying to
Right.
change it to just kind of be with what is. Uh, because I think a lot of time, even me, I'm an experienced meditator, but I kind of lose track with what is. And like the what is, I've made
Yeah.
it up something completely different in my head. But then when I slow down and the more you do it, like for me, it just becomes a reflex. Like I do it without like I'm not
Yeah.
very rarely do I go, these are my 5 minutes of meditation. I'm usually
Right.
just
This
going
kind of
into,
happens.
yeah. And when I do have my 5 minutes, and I have times in the morning, and there's specific things that I do, uh, but are there some specific forms that you've learned that you'd share more about, whether it was, transcendental meditation or box breathing, or do you have any forms that you like or you'd like to share more about?
Um, well, I've tried some shamanic breathing practices like dragon's breath, all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I I haven't really done that much, like the breathing techniques. Um, that's not. I'm more in like the mental aspect of it. So
Hmm.
I've done stuff like I've astral projected before. That was cool. I'm big into that. I spend a lot of time researching stuff around that, and all that type of stuff. I love it all.
So have you ever been to like a retreat, like a 2-day retreat or 3-day retreat or a class
I've
on that
been
day?
to a 1 day retreat with a. I have a friend who practices shamanism. He's very cool.
Nice.
He's not my age. He's like older. He's like 40 something, but he's cool. I feel like when I feel his energy, it feels like someone my age, and I like people who seem youthful throughout their entire life. But yeah, man, like spiritualism has always been a big part for me. Um, I found that way before I found being an entrepreneur. Uh, I feel like it's they're not two separate realms at all. Like to be an entrepreneur, you have to be spiritual in some sense, believe in manifesting in some sense, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so awesome. And that's one of the reasons this podcast is called the Tao of Pizza. And it's fun. My daughter went to Oregon State. So a lot of people from Oregon State would listen to the podcast and they go, man, I told my daughter, I listened to this thing, 5 episodes, it didn't say one thing about pizza. It's like, because it's kind of the Taoism it's a spiritual philosophy, but it's something that I
Right.
practice kind of like you. I tried out a lot of different things, uh, but I got my master's degree, so it was like almost every 3 months I was going to another retreat, learning a different technique, a different. Uh, and then 20 years later, when I started this podcast, and I was kind of doing some more research, and with a lot of my practices, the way going with the flow of nature, the concept of yin and yang, and that everything is just one thing. And you're right. It's not like, well, I have my spiritual life over here, and that's what I do on Sunday. And then Monday through Friday, I'm selling
Yeah,
racks. And then on the weekends, I play pickleball.
you
It's
got to
not like that.
integrate.
It's all integrated.
Yeah,
And so that's one of the reasons I call this is like, wow, I've been practicing Taoism for 20 years and I didn't even know that's what it's called, to
yeah,
be in harmony with nature, at peace with yourself, stillness, creating stillness. And things like that. So that's dynamite. You said some uh, right on things about meditation, and I don't think you see it a lot. Um, the other thing about me, I think you're kind of this way too. A lot of people are like, well, what does the research say, or what's the data, or what's the thing? For me, I just started trying this stuff out. Right? You got
you
a
gotta
friend that's
you gotta just do it.
do it and see what happens. What's after a week? What's after 2 weeks? What's after
Yeah,
20 days? And then I was just like, wow, this is a different, and you meet people. I've been to shaman, I've been to retreats with shaman. My wife bought me a surprise retreat. It was like a 3-day retreat with a shaman. And I was like, that's who do you surprise
that's
with a
dope.
shaman, a shaman retreat? I was like, me.
Yeah,
So
sick.
what else about spiritual? Because I want to ask you about your investment too. It seems almost kind of crappy to ask you about the investments now. Look, we're just
Nah,
talking about this
I
for the
love
rest
it.
of the time. Yeah.
I love it because it feels like I don't want to like get prideful, but it feels like I am ahead of everyone else that I started at the same starting line with, at least a little bit. But what like with the spiritualism thing, I think one of the greatest misconceptions people have with manifestation is they think it's just a thought you have and then a result that comes of it. It's not. It's more like you kind of live as though you're already there, and then one day you look around and it is like that, right? So like if I want to walk around like I have $1 million in my bank, I got to walk around like I got $1 million in my bank, even if I don't. And then eventually, like without me even trying or noticing, it'll be there. Master Yoda from Star Wars, he said, there is no trying, there's only doing. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what I live by.
Yeah. And I like to say you have to put the action in the law of attraction,
Right.
because manifesting
It's
is
not just
law of
going to
attraction.
happen.
You have to put the action in the law of attraction, right? Attraction has action as a part of that. It's the last 5 letters or 6 letters of that. I didn't say I could count either. I just said you have to. I love that, Michael. You got a head start. You got a great outlook on.
One more thing with that though, the
Yeah, yeah.
spiritualism, the
Mhm.
spiritualism and the entrepreneurship. What a lot of people don't realize also is that every word you speak is a spell, right? Every
Mm,
word you speak casts a magic spell, and it shows you. The
yeah,
universe will take what you say very literally. So you can't say I'm broke right now. Oh, I have no opportunities right now. You just say, oh, it just hasn't happened yet. Or it's in progress. Something along those lines. You got to keep yourself in a state of always of never like saying that you don't have something.
yeah. Stated in the present, like I'm learning to access wealth, or I've learned to generate wealth. You don't have to necessarily be wealthy to know how to generate wealth. Like,
Yeah.
it takes years and years and years to generate wealth, but do you have to start? Yeah. And the things you say, so words are spelled because words cast spells. That's a great kind of riddle. Uh, and I do. I mean, uh, I'm always practicing. I learned this at a young age. Well, probably your age, 18, 20, something, is that when I was in my 20s, problems became challenges. I was just thinking about this the other day. And then in my 30s, challenges became opportunities. And
Right.
so now at our company, when something gets screwed up and everything is messed up and it's on fire, it's like, okay, we have an opportunity.
Yeah. Always got
That's
to
what we
flip
call
something to the positive side.
it. And because it's human mind is kind of weird. You'll see what you're focused on. Like if you're focused on the solution, you're going to find solutions. If you're focused on the problem, you're going to find more problems, right? It's
Right.
yeah. So how does that? Oh, the other thing there, uh, I've gotten some other research recently that before we had the World Wide Web and everything was connected to everything, business was the way that ideas got transferred. So I watched the special on Marco Polo. I've always liked Marco Polo because my name's Mark. I figure, well, if Marco Polo could go around the world, I could go around the world.
Yeah.
Uh, but he went on, it was supposed to take 9 years, but they went from like Venice to the middle of China. I don't even know where, but there was this guy named Kublai Khan, and he really liked Marco Polo. And Marco Polo had been educated in like a Venetian Italian. He knew about Catholicism and everything.
Right.
And Kublai Khan was like Taoism and everything, whatever they had in China, and Confucianism. And so that's how cultures compared notes. And Kublai Khan was like, bring me 70 priests from Catholicism. And Marco Polo took all those ideas back. But it took him, instead of 9 years, I think it took him like 23 years, something, to get from point A to point B
Yeah.
and then back. But so business it has an impact. I think that's an important, and I'm really spiritual about my business. Like, am I making the best contribution that I can with the skills that I have to make a contribution to make things better than they are now? Right.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about, we're getting a little bit short on time, but let's talk a little bit about investments. What makes you passionate about investing? I think that's my younger kids. My kids are into, my kids are 20, 23, and 29, and they're like you, they want to be in the investment world. So what do you
Right.
like about
I mean, so there's a few things. Number one, it makes me feel like I'm actively doing something. Even if my investments don't go well, it makes me feel better that I was actively doing something with what I with my income instead of letting it sit and rot in a bank, not getting interest or anything. Um, and I don't view days linearly. I view each day as its own individual thing, entity. I forget about yesterday. I forget about tomorrow. And I think there's a lot of opportunity every day. There's millionaires made every day, no matter where it, no matter where it happens or how. Um, you just gotta. There's money lying all over the place. If you could just grab some of it, that you're good. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's great. There was
I
a,
think learning it is just like my favorite thing. I love learning the stock market and everything about it.
do you have any mentors who are teaching you about it, or is it something you're kind of doing on your own homework, your own research?
Not personal mentors, more like online personalities that have dedicated their channel to teaching about that stuff, you know?
And so you're investing your time. That's what you're doing at 3:30. That was the other thing when you were talking about working from 9 to 3:30. When you own your own business, you're working at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're working
Yeah.
in the middle of the night.
That is
I used to,
9 to 3:30 is really when I'm in the office. I'm working
yeah,
every hour.
yeah. So, so you're doing research. Are there any sectors or real estate? Um, I guess the crypto question is kind of a separate question, but are there any particular sectors or anything that you're
Well,
interested in?
yeah, everything is related, whether it be crypto or stocks or real estate. They're all connected in some sense. Right now, I'm really interested in cybersecurity. I think that's one of the top things right
Yeah.
now. So I'm really into cybersecurity stocks, uh, AI also. Cybersecurity and AI are probably the top two.
So who's the leader? Who's going to get the most advantage out of AI? Wide adoption of AI, in your opinion? What are some of
Well,
the,
right
like
now,
everyone's saying NVIDIA?
yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if you've seen, but Nvidia kind of took over the market. It's almost their entire value, 2 trillion. It's almost surpassed the entire value of the Canadian government.
So
And
NVIDIA is still a leader. It's still a good investment, even though like 6 months ago, people saying NVIDIA is not a good investment because they've already maxed out. But I think they're up 30% since then or
yeah,
something.
it could be still be a good investment. And I'm not sure if you saw a few days ago, Bitcoin passed silver as the eighth largest currency in the world.
Wow. Are
So
there any
that's
other crypto? So they're kind of the gold standard of crypto. Are there any other
yeah,
companies that see like Ethereum or I don't even know what they are? Is Ethereum still in business? But to me, they were
so
one of the other.
yeah, Ethereum is very good, but people are starting to like Ethereum less and less because of the fees that come with it, right? People don't want to
Oh,
pay 150 Ethereum or 150 bucks to transfer their coin into another coin, right? So another thing that's coming becoming like very prevalent is privacy transactions. A lot of people want private coins that they can have private transactions where it's not public to the whole internet. So that's another thing I've been looking into.
because of the blockchain technology, one of the things that makes Bitcoin possible is that all these things are transparent. That's how they're
Yeah.
verified, and they're verified through multiple. Yeah. So that's a great point. Anything else about the investing piece before I ask you the last couple personal questions?
Um, Honestly, you really just got to stay on top of it. Like you're not gonna. Patience is the number one killer of opportunity, right? Like being impatient will kill your opportunities. You just got to be patient.
Yeah. Yeah. I've in my life, I've done the thing that I chose. Like I was studying investing in my late 20s, and I kind of got out of it. I just did the invest and forget scenario. So, just been putting a percentage away every so often and uh, letting it add up over 25, 30 years and putting in mutual funds of like different kinds of stuff. Um, but it'd be kind of cool to think like what would happen if I'd invested $10,000 in Apple 20 years ago. I mean,
Right.
and it's not like I didn't have it. Uh, So that's great. And you've said a lot of great things about investing. The other thing you said is that you have to start out by saving the money, not spending that money in the first place, which is a great
Yeah.
habit, right?
I know if I put it in my crypto portfolio, I'm not going to take it out. If it's in my
Yeah.
checking, I'm just going to spend it.
So you're going to share what's in your crypto portfolio?
I can.
So Bitcoin, Ethereum, like who should we be looking at?
Well, I don't have any of those big ones. I don't have the capital for that.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like my returns are more, I have better chance at returns using high leverage positions on low market cap coins. So right
Uh-huh.
now I'm in a lot of AI projects. Um, I can list a few out for you. Have you heard of Avalanche? AVAX?
AVA, I have not. I'm a total rookie
That
when it comes
one's
to it.
that one's up 12% today.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, just a few. We're in the bull market right now, so everything's
Yeah.
going up. Everything's
So what'd
following
you
data.
like? What'd you like about that one that separated? Because a lot of them, or I don't know, how do you like, what'd you like about, say it again, what is Avalanche?
Yeah, Avalanche. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I've been watching a bunch of crypto stuff. I've been watching crypto since like 2020. So
Okay.
the ones that I picked out back then, I've kind of kept an eye on, and I don't know. They're just kind of fixated in my mind as stable products.
Yeah. What are some of the other ones besides Avalanche?
Um, well, there's countless coins on here. It really depends on the project. What projects are constantly changing, and there's constantly new demand in the market. So right now it's a lot of AI. So I got Fetch AI, Sushi Swap. There's so many coins. You really just gotta
So
do
share
enough
what you
research
mean.
until you find one.
What do you mean by project, and how does it integrate with AI? So give
So
me an example of a project.
each
Is that like,
each each crypto coin, it's not each crypto represents its own project. So it's some group of people saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This coin basically represents the value of what we're doing." So let's look at Internet Computer. Internet Computer is a basic idea to create a new kind of decentralized internet and global computing system with independent data systems all over the world, joining together to create an alternative to iCloud services. Right? So this one would probably save your problem, Internet Computer. It's down right now, but its all-time high is $630, and right now it's only at about 13. So I would call that a good investment.
because it has the potential. And so, but you're looking to
Yeah.
hold on to it for a while, right? Or are you doing trading where you see, well, something's up 30%, I want to get out of it, get into something else? Or are you looking for more long-term buy and hold?
Well, with my capital right now, my main focus is to kind of catch what's happening at that moment. Long term, I could make money, but I'm going to miss out on all the little places in between.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what I'm focusing on right now.
So you're more active. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically anything you choose right now, unless you are really bad at choosing, it'll go up within the next year because the whole market is going up.
Like you said, it's the bull time. So if yours goes up. Yeah. So, what are some of the hobbies you do? We're kind of towards the end. I kind of want to get a little bit, like, we know about Michael, the investor, the entrepreneur, uh, the
Yeah.
spiritualist. What do you do what are your hobbies besides shaman,
Uh,
going on weekend retreats with shamans, which I love.
my hobbies are I literally just go to the gym and I think about how I'm gonna be in a foreign country the next year.
So you love travel. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love
So you're
travel.
you're manifesting world traveler.
Yeah, I
That's
want to
great. I
see
love
every.
it.
I just I hate being landlocked. I don't like the fact that I can say I can't go here because I don't have enough or I don't have enough time. Like freedom is the number one important thing to me.
Nice. So working out and travel, a man after my heart. Did you do anything like surfing or snowboarding or
I
uh
wish. I wish I
no?
could. Yeah,
Yeah,
nah, I never learned how to surf, and I think I just lived too far from the mountains to go snowboarding or anything like that.
yeah.
I did skateboard. I was a skater uh, up until I was around 15, but I just stopped getting better, so I stopped doing it.
Yeah. Skating is one of those things. I have one of those electric scooters that you ride on, like the kind you can rent. I bought one. I'm like, man, this is so fun. But I'm like, man, if I ever crash, I'm probably gonna die.
Yeah,
So
it's so
yeah,
it. I
skating.
got hurt bad. Like it. It's no joke. Those things are scary.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Like I remember like being, I don't know, there was some age that I got where I started worrying about getting hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think it was 15, but 18 or something like that, 17. I'm like, wait a minute,
Well,
I could be
it's
hurt.
because there's a good like 10-year span in your youth where you could just get hurt and bounce up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So now I'm in my 50s and it gets, even though I'm manifesting healthy life and
Yeah.
fast recovery and good sleep, uh, I'm not manifesting 100% of the time. Well, Michael, this has been awesome. I'm so glad we
Yeah.
connected. What's the best place if somebody hears this and they want to use you guys for special inspections or anything else? What's the best way uh, to stay in touch with you or reach out for your services?
Well, you can reach out to me directly. My email is michael@seizmicinc.com or michael@smark.com. Um, or you could go to Seizmic's website and find the contact information through there for anything related, any of the sectors of Seizmic.
Okay. Awesome. We'll do that. And we've started using you as soon as I heard that you were getting in the business. I'm not going to say who brand X are. We just found somebody out of the yellow pages. I still say yellow pages because I didn't go through the yellow pages, but we Googled it,
Yeah,
but I'm going to start using you guys. I'm going to recommend, I have other dealer friends like, hey, Seismic's doing it. Michael's running the show.
nice.
But thanks for taking the time out. I know you're busy and
Yeah,
you're
thank you
running.
for having me on.
Yeah, this has just been awesome.
Cool.
Cool. I'll see you around. I'll see you in June.
Yeah, see you.
All right, man.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Tao of Pizza podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.